Okay, welcome back to another podcast. I'm your host, Nurse Eades, and the reason why I'm coming to you today is because I received a special request. And so I'm popping out of the normal order in which I do things. I attempted to record this before, and my mic was all topsy turvy. So we're going to try this again. So the question was asked to me, what happens after my first exam when I don't get the grade I'm looking for? To the person who asked this question, this resonates with so many of us. Even in my own experience in nursing school, I had this idea that I was going to be a straight A. I had to aim for 90 and above. And there were times when I got an 80. Sometimes I got less than that. And for a bit, I would um, just kind of go, you know what? I passed. That's all that really matters. And then I began to realize as those 80s turned into 76 and I was playing it close, that I really need to meet with my instructor to go over what I had missed. I had to look to determine whether or not I got the grade that I received or missed questions because I was misreading it, or if I lacked knowledge, or I just had to look and explore something different, like to figure out what was going on. What I realized is that I really needed to take a step back and look inward and decide whether or not I really had the right study habits. So, if you find yourself not achieving the score you like, it is really essential to ask some hard questions about your study habits, like how many uninterrupted hours am I spending on studying? Am I really focused during this time, or am I tired or just got off of work? It's also important to look at those credit hour workloads and determine whether or not that's more than you can handle, or to determine whether or not work hours play a role in your study time, a massive role in your study time. After you do those things, you have to look at the third obstacle. So you reflect on your exam grade, determine whether or not, or the cause of whether or not it was just, again, misreading, not having the knowledge, or further exploration. And that further exploration leads you to assessing your study habits. And then after you assess your study habits, you have to look at your reading strategies and those approaches. So let's talk about your reading methods. Do you read the whole chapter, or do you just skim over it? Do you review anatomy and physiology before starting? And I am going to tell you guys that I'm a real fan for anatomy and physiology. Trust me, second time around. I actually was with one of my professors, and she handed me a pathophysiology book, and I thought to myself, what am I going to do with this? And she asked me, was I reading the pathophysiology sections of the textbook? At that time, we were using, I think, a Lewis textbook or something like that. And I thought to myself, no. But I realized what I was missing was the foundation of anatomy and physiology and the pathophysiology, how the body actually works to maintain homeostasis and that compensatory mechanism. And if you haven't listened to that podcast, there's one. So I truly recommend it. These are essential factors that can really shape our understanding. Another thing that can shape our understanding is looking at the objectives for each chapter. If you look at the objectives for each chapter, and you actually take your notes based on that, then you're actually meeting the expected outcomes for that chapter. Then there are going to be times when certain writers believe that reading over material or reading it multiple times leads to memory. So they start off with a higher way of explaining it, and then they work their way down to a more simplified. Through repetition, you begin to have that memory. If you're that person that can go, oh, recognizes that you've read it more than what you needed to, Try to find that area in which you go, okay, this is my level of understanding. What is this saying to me? And how does this relate to the objectives? And if you're meeting those objectives doing that, then stick with that plan and see how that works. Another thing is taking good notes based on those objectives and then highlighting any unknown areas. I believe that if you read through a chapter, you understand it, and then you come to something that goes, okay, wait, I didn't understand that. Mark that right there, highlight the unknown areas, make your laundry basket list of those things you don't know, ask yourself questions, then keep reading. If that question is answered, write it down what that answer is. If it's not answered, when you're done reading, go back to look to see if you can find the answer. If you find the area where that answer is found, but you're like, ugh, I still don't understand this, that's when you get to class, your instructor is giving that lecture or talking or giving an assignment, you can ask that question. Don't be afraid to ask questions. The question that you're hesitating on asking is the same question everyone in your class room is waiting an answer to, but just are too afraid to ask it because they think no one else is thinking the same thing. So help one another out by just going ahead and going, I read the chapter beforehand, I took some notes, and when I got to this area, I was a little bit confused. Can you help me understand that? And then it benefits you and everyone else in the classroom. And then focus on the lecture really makes that huge difference because now you're connecting what you read, you're correcting what you did not understand, you're gaining explanation of it in the classroom, you're engaging in activity in the classroom. And then because all of you are on the same page, because you guys are asking and receiving answers to the same questions, then you have less students that are off talking about things they don't understand. Everybody will be on the same page. Okay, next is utilizing technology and tools. Technology is a good ally. For me, voice recording my classes was important for me. Sometimes I can be easily distracted, I can be cut off guard, or it's that one person that just doesn't know that they're a distraction. And so I sometimes miss out on things. And so as to not to prolong the class, I take a voice recording of the lecture, and then I go, okay, you know what? Yep, there's the answer to my question. It was there. Or I think she explained it here. Let me go back home. I'll type it in. So I use something called audio notes, and no, they're not supporting me. They're not offering me anything to tell them, but audio notes was the best thing ever for me. I would audio record the lecture. I could type my notes in, I could draw my notes in, I could take pictures of slides that were on the screen. I can use my pen with it, and it would, is when I was typing, it would timestamp my notes within the audio for quick reference later on. And so if I didn't understand something, I could put a question mark, I could go back and do the research. And I'm going to tell you, spirit of inquiry, that's the best thing that you can have. If you do not develop the spirit of inquiry that says, I had the know how, the go how, and all those other hows to get the information I need, and I don't have to wait for somebody to give it to me. That, if you can develop that skill, that goes a long way. Okay. Now, you've done everything that you can. You've reflected on your grades, understanding what part of that might be you, what part of that may have been a misunderstanding. You now go, you know what? Maybe I didn't study as well as I should have, or maybe I did. And I'm looking at my reading strategies and I've done all that and I'm using technology. Then there's something else, an internal factor. And that internal factor can be your anxiety. How is that being managed? How is and what are your test taking techniques? If you haven't, go back to one of my podcasts because I go over that information. But test anxiety, guys, it is real. For me, I would be calm, I would be cool, I would be collected. And yes, back then there was Scantron. The Scantron would come in front of me. There was a paper test. I got my pencil and all of a sudden something happened As soon as she says, and your time starts now, all of a sudden I could hear my heartbeat in my ears. I tried to use earplugs. That was not working. I couldn't focus. I could hear the ticking of the clock, and all of a sudden it just was no good. And then I would get lightheaded. I would get dizzy because I wasn't breathing. I talk about that in another podcast too, of all the different techniques. But know this. Anxiety is real. And let me tell you, every university has an accessibility service. Go and see them. Go see a counselor to get help. Every time I suggest to someone, you really should go to accessibility services and see if you can get help. Talk to one of the counselors because this is just temporary. Once you get through nursing school, it should get better. You got your degree now and you're a nurse. It gets better. But for now, you need that assistance. And each and every single time they tell me, no, I don't think it's that. And then the following semester, when they're seeing me again, they go, okay, what should I do? If you are listening to this and you have taken your first exam and you did not do as well as you wanted to, whether you passed or failed, if it was not the grade that you thought it should be, check to see if it was your fault, like you actually made human mistakes, not reading it correctly, not reading the answer, missing a word, skipping over a word. If you've done all that and you've looked at it, it is probably testing anxiety. And I'm going to tell you now, go get help. Put that pride, throw it over your shoulder, go get that help. Okay? The resources are there for you, and I'm telling you, use your tutors as well. Another thing that you can do is practice relaxation techniques. Now I'm going to tell you, for me, I did all that. I really, the truth is I ended up going, and it was recommended to me by the student health services that I seek some assistance to control my heart rate and my blood pressure. And so something as simple as propanolol, something that just control my body's response to the anxiety so that I couldn't hear my heartbeat. Once I did that, I'm going to tell you I was better. And I'm not recommending it. I'm not pushing medication, but what I am saying is that there are professionals out there, including your primary care doctor, who can assist you because testing anxiety is real. Making sure that you have proper test taking strategies like underlying keywords, eliminating wrong choices can really be a game changer. So, whatever it is that works for you, do a self reflection and evaluation of who you are. If you prefer homeopathic methods, then engage in relaxation techniques and essential oils. And if you're a person that's geared towards medication, try that out, reaching out to your doctors and your counselors. Okay. Moving on, group study and using resources. I'm a firm believer in having a study group or partner is productive, especially if you're utilizing your resources, including tutoring, because that can really make a difference. Beware of taking shortcuts, though. Relying only on reading and reviewing books might lead you a little bit astray. Even for this purpose right here, in my disclaimer, I say to you, this does not take the place of a textbook or the instructions within your classroom, because there are going to be those little things that you're going to miss. Hopefully, you're using these tips to read your textbook first, then come to me for further explanation or go to YouTube. But I really do caution you, stick to your textbook first. I'm a firm believer of it. I will tell you that till this day, I would rather read the information because knowledge is key and have it in my head, because then I can confidently repeat that information forward than to be listening to what somebody else says, because the air is human. We make mistakes. And if we make mistakes, so if you're listening to me and I make mistakes, verify what I'm saying to your textbook. Okay. All right. So, and another thing about the group study, make sure that the people in your group are actually good people to have in your group. You might need to form a new one just in case. Just thought I'd throw that one out there. Next, lifestyle considerations and motivations. Your environment really matters. From where you study to how you balance your home life, these factors contribute to your academic success. So never wait until things are so serious or you feel like you're in trouble before you change your habits. To be in a nursing program is an investment all by itself. The success of that you have in this program depends on you investing back into your education, but also investing in yourself, believing in yourself and telling yourself that you're worth more than any other thing that's coming before your study habits, before your success. Psychological boosting techniques is another thing that I recommend. It's a fun technique that allows you to like boost your confidence a little bit. I'm gonna be honest, I have a confidence about me that sometimes I don't even know where it comes from. Like, because I can't see myself in my brain, I'm like, girl, you got this, you know what you're doing, go ahead, you get it, you got it, all that other good stuff. And then sometimes I go and I look at myself in the mirror and I'm going, why are you looking crazy? However, and I mean to say that I I be in my own little zone. Sometimes I feel silly. But you know what? When I feel silly, when I'm laughing, I'm releasing endorphins, I'm decreasing my stress. And so I tell myself, hey, listen, you got this. You know this. Teach it back to yourself. I'm going to do well on the test. I did well on this test. Now I just need to figure out what am I doing wrong? Get out of my own way so that I don't leave points on the table. And, you know, many students have found that when they do this kind of technique, it kind of help reduces their testing anxiety. And so that's it. That's a wrap for today's episode. I hope that you found these tips helpful. Please share this podcast with your fellow nursing students. Remember that you've invested in your program and your education, so always make sure that you're doing your best to succeed. Until next time, this is Nurse Eades. I'm signing off, but before I do that, if you have the opportunity, take some time to like, share, or give me some feedback as to whether or not this podcast benefited you. It is only through those podcasts that it motivates me to continue doing more for you. And so until next time, stay safe, be well.